Hi, it's DebV. Today we're going to be working on a trick-or-treat bag. Depending on which order I actually get it edited in, there's going to be two videos. This took, well, the stitching times alone was 35 minutes, and then, of course, it took me all day. I broke threads, the battery died twice. I have a very, inexpensive camera, and it did come with two batteries. Ask me what I did with the spare. But it's safe. It's with the charger. I just don't know where I put the charger. So I didn't lose the battery, I lost the charger. Alright, anyways. This design is from Embroidery Library. If I can figure out how to do that on the computer to show you that stuff, I might slap that in here because I want to learn how to do that. To get to this site, I just typed in EMBLIB in Google, and my very first one on the top of the list was for Embroidery Library. Here I typed in Happy Halloween. It brought me up 2 pages of designs. Now that's at this time in 2023. And down at the bottom of the second page was the design I had bought. You can buy it in 2 sizes. This is the size I had bought originally. This is the size I made. This is the design. And now back to making it. It would just, something new to learn, kind of a thing. So I'm going to go through showing you this stitch out, and then this is going to be turned into a trick-or-treat bag. The top is going to have some webbing for the straps, something simple. Just gonna get used once, I'm sure. But I have glow-in-the-dark threads from last year's project I had done online. So some of these have, little glow-in-the-dark spots. And, oh, I missed some threads. Get the glasses on, Deb, you'll see them. I will tell you that this base I did stitch out. I got my threads in the wrong order. I actually like the way it turned out here better. There, instead of you having to switch for each thing, I can't get that last little. I guess I'm being too picky, aren't I? Let me just be done. This looks like a thread. It's not. It's the spider web coming down for the spider. And you can't even see his eyes because this is the first part of stitches. This is the second, and I used glow in the dark for both things and realized they just blended in together. You can't even see the eyes. So after that I changed. The eyes are, like on this, the eyes are the only part that glow. And I made sure that the pupils were black. I had take the black away so I wouldn't goop and use it for like the cat and the bat and the owl because it's black fabric. I had to get it back out. But I think it turned out absolutely adorable, even with my mistakes, which I did leave in, and you will see. I'm not a horrendous snob about that. I make mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes. I am not ashamed of it. We learn from our mistakes, right? Well, if we're smart, we learn from our mistakes. So this is a twill fabric. On the back, I used a cutaway. I'm going to trim this down, and I'm going to put an iron-on over it. And I'll trim up all these threads. And and I'll put an iron-on over it just so it won't be there showing. Cover it up because this bag will not be lined. And then I did his name, but I did it in something so that it's like a 3D effect. So it only actually stitches out the shadow, the depth part. I thought that was interesting. I did it in a blue glow in the dark that I'm not even sure if it will glow in the dark. Well, there's so much light on for the camera. But yeah, I thought it turned out great. But that's that. It turned out absolutely adorable, I think. It has a lot of changes. 36 thread changes. There's one in here. Well, there's two that I skipped, but the one it turned out actually did 2 sections because this and this have wood grain. And I just didn't even want to bother with the wood grain. I don't think it looks that great on small things when you're putting the wood grain in, you know, and I just didn't care for it, so I left it out. But it turns out this wood grain jumps to here. So if you want to skip the wood grain in this, don't skip whole thread color. Just tap forward until it jumps down to this section. Because I skipped the color and then it put in the thread for these branches and ended up doing... I made a mess of things. My colors ended up off. And I did finally realize, what the heck am I doing wrong? And I sat down at the computer and watched the stitch out again and went, duh, these are connected. So I had to go back. And it wasn't impossible to do. It's not that hard if you're wanting to skip little bits. This bone, I'm not sure how well that shows up. It has glow-in-the-dark white and a glow-in-the-dark gray, and they're very close in color. It's supposed to be, I thought, bandages. It is kind of hard to see for sure what it is, but I thought it's supposed to be like bandages off of a mummy falling on his foot. And I guess that's everything I wanted to tell you before we jump into it, other than if you purchase it, you can also download a PDF that tells you all of this, so you don't have to have a stitch program. And I bought it years ago. I know I have the PDF in my computer, but I have probably 200,000 designs. I try to keep them categorized, but I used to put all the zip files in one so that they were safe. If my computer crashed or whatever, it was copied on an external. And they're numbered. See, the file name, it doesn't have a, oh, Happy Halloween. It has this. Going through the hundreds of purchased, I really only saved the purchased ones like that. To find it was more trouble than I felt it was worth because I have an embroidery program, so I just brought it up and printed it out. So let's go ahead and get this stitched out. If you want to watch it being stitched out, please stick around. There won't be an ending, an outro for this one because, hey, I already showed it to you. So I'm going to thank you right now for joining me today. And I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye. So I've got this lined up. And I folded it so I could get an idea where that was at. Because of the way the design is, it makes it look off center. I almost moved it, but no, that's what I'm going to go with. I've got a piece of cutaway under here. This fabric's nice and thick, so I'm hoping that's going to be plenty. Their designs historically we're very dense, so I expect it to pull a little, but I'm hoping it doesn't. But this is the list. These are all the color changes. There's one more on the back. I just added it to the front and the bottom. But yeah, a lot of color changes. But, you know, we're going to go with it. And let's get this into the machine and get going. This pattern on my machine says 35 minutes and 36 color changes. So it's going to take a while. I'm sure my battery will die before this is done. But I'm going to start with a red. So I messed up, of course. I wanted to skip that, but the grain in that was connected to this. So I started stitching ahead, and only to keep going. Why is that? So my colors are all messed up now, but I'm going to fix it. I have finally got it adjusted to the point I want so that I could still skip those grain lines on there. And now we're going to sew. Now I'm going to stitch over top of this part that I had done. And I'm just going to use the same color, trying to make it cohesive. Success! There's the tongue. That was just the little branches sticking off to the side. So I'm going to skip one color. Now we're going to jump to the snake. For some reason, it showed the black eyes, right? Well, then all of this was done in orange. And it turned around and it'll do the moon. So somehow I messed up when I was writing down next to the colors, because in the picture it shows these eyes as black and I put down pumpkin eyes. So anyhow, I stopped it and I backtracked it to the beginning of what should be the moon. And I'm going to switch to a glow-in-the-dark color. Now it's getting ready to do the little black dots in the eyes that for some reason I had thought was that. And to be honest, I kind of like the black for the nose and, the detail work and the orange. But know that when it's going to do the moon, before it does the moon, it does that part of the face. And then after the moon and the cat eyes, it will come back to do the little black dots in the eyes, which I don't need to worry about. I mean, I can put little orange dots in there, but it's pretty solid. I'm going to skip that. We're just going to tap it to go forward until it gets over to the back. And now I want to trim this tail. Because my fabric is black, I'm using like a steel gray. I'm not going to do, it's supposed to be like wood with wood grain, and I'm not going to do that part. But I'm not silly enough to just skip the color, because the last time it turned out and I have a feeling it's going to go to the eyes of the back. No, it didn't. Okay, I'm safe. That had me nervous there. So when you're doing that final in and it gets to the next color for it, the wood grain, if you want to skip that color, it's not doing anything else with it, just the wood grain. So that's one thread you could skip if you would like. Now it's going to do the E. We are almost done with this. We're finally to the very last piece of the design, and that is the final E. And I'm going to do it. Okay, all done. Yay. Now I'll tell you, yes, it is like a 35, 36-minute stitch out on my machine. And it took me hours, but that's because I'm filming. The battery died, cats came in and kept climbing around. Those kinds of things slow you down. But if you were doing this at home, it's still, there's all the color changes. And you can limit it. I figure if I'm going to be changing the color, I'm going to use a different color. And I really changed a lot of the colors. And if you go ahead and you just like put in the little wood grain in here that's going to jump down and do this too, you're not going to have to worry about backing up to place down something because you skipped it by accident. I think it turned out beautifully.